As a result of Code's invasion and Boruto's flashy return back to the Leaf Village, I think a lot of fans have narrowed their focus on the upcoming clash between Boruto, Kawaki, and Code, while losing sight of the changing dynamic between Boruto, Kawaki, and the Leaf Village that was foreshadowed in the first chapter of Boruto 2 Blue Vortex. It's only a matter of time before the alliances, friendships, and betrayals instigated by Omnipotence become null and void, and the seeds for this have already been planted in just this one chapter alone. And today, I want to show you the narrative landscape that existed before Chapter 79, how this was changed by Omnipotence in Chapter 79, and the directions things seem to be heading based on this latest chapter. Now, this isn't to say that Omnipotence itself is necessarily going to be undone or rewritten, just that the framework it created will eventually shift in the opposite direction. It might not happen overnight or in this current arc, but it's going to happen at some point, as the downfall of this role reversal is a direct result of the inherent weaknesses of Eida's Omnipotence that I explained in a recent video. Now, the place I want to start is with Mitski, someone I plan to make a dedicated video on. Prior to Chapter 79, Mitski saw Boruto as his son who he wants to protect no matter what, whereas he saw Kawaki as someone who threatened the life of his son, causing Mitski to be consumed with rage as he decided that he would kill Kawaki personally. But then the Omnipotence role reversal happened, and instead Mitski saw Kawaki as his son and saw Boruto as someone who needed to be eliminated. Now, as these 3 years pass by, we see from this chapter that Mitski cannot stop thinking about killing Boruto, so much so that Kawaki finds Mitski's bloodthirst to be suffocating, which is absolutely insane given just how devoted Kawaki is to killing Boruto. And despite knowing that Kawaki can sense Boruto approaching even if he masks his chakra signature, Mitski still won't let down his guard. He wants to protect Kawaki, and so he swears to kill Boruto himself. Now, Kawaki's response to this is absolutely hilarious as he says, "Okay, sure, but quit following me around like some sick perv. It's annoying." Which reminds me of when Sasuke told Sakura that she's annoying in part 1. But besides the comedic aspect of the scene, it clearly demonstrates just how different Kawaki's personality is from Boruto's. Sure, Boruto might joke around and tell Mitski he's being a little weird when he's being weird, and Mitski would be like, "Huh? What do you mean?" all innocently. But Boruto wouldn't tell Mitski that he's suffocating. He wouldn't tell Mitski to stop hanging around him, and he wouldn't call Mitski a sick perv. Boruto wouldn't even think that way. He actually likes Mitski. Mitski is one of his closest friends. Kawaki, on the other hand, doesn't care about Mitski or anyone else in the village on a personal level. They're just loose extensions of Naruto. Naruto wants to protect them, and so Kawaki does too. But that's about as far as it goes. And since Kawaki isn't very good at being friendly with others, he naturally finds Mitski annoying since Mitski also isn't very good at interacting with others in a normal way, and so Mitski is trying to learn these things from his so-called son that is supposed to be Kawaki based on his altered memories. That's why Mitski clings so tightly to Kawaki and observes him so closely like he did with Boruto previously. Mitski needs a son and he knows it, and that brings us to Mitski's reaction. After Kawaki insults Mitski again, Mitski says, "But Kawaki, you're," before he gets cut off by a call about Code's claw marks, where Kawaki immediately ignores Mitski to go take care of that. The fact that Mitski starts the sentence by saying, "But Kawaki," in response to Kawaki's insult is extremely telling. It implies a sense of shock and disbelief on Mitski's part. He can't believe that Kawaki is behaving this way. Furthermore, the word "but" usually implies a contradiction, objection, or impossibility of some sort. It's typically used as a conjunction to introduce a phrase or clause that contrasts what has already been mentioned or is already known. In this particular context, Kawaki's behavior contrasts Mitski's memories of Kawaki when Kawaki used to act like the son, and it contrasts what we know the son is supposed to be based on part 1 of Boruto. It's supposed to be Boruto, a warm, bright person, not Kawaki, a cold, dark person. This directly coincides with how Mitski finishes his sentence as he says, "You're the sun, shining brightly upon my moon. Aren't you, Kawaki?" This line serves more purpose than just to remind the reader of the sun and moon thing with Mitski and Boruto. The fact that Mitski ends this line with a question mark implies a sense of doubt or confusion. Kawaki is supposed to be the sun shining brightly upon the moon that is Mitski. However, Kawaki's not acting like a shining bright light. He's acting more like a bringer of darkness, someone who takes the light out of people or blocks the light from reaching them. Mitski is clearly confused by this. Now the takeaway here isn't that Mitski is gonna randomly realize that his memories are a lie all of a sudden. His memories aren't what's important here. What's important is who Mitski views as his son. Mitski's biggest need as a character is a son, so his #1 priority is protecting the one he views as his son. If Mitski realizes that Kawaki is no longer his son, or that Kawaki was never his son in the first place, then that means Mitski will seek out and eventually find a new sun to shine upon his moon, because that is his greatest need as a character. And when that happens, if Kawaki proceeds to oppose and actively threaten Mitski's new sun, whether it's Boruto, Sarada, Shikamaru, Eida, or even Code at that given time, Mitski will instinctively oppose Kawaki in order to protect his son. So if and when Mitski realizes that Boruto is his son and Kawaki tries to kill Boruto again, then we're right back to square one. Mitski will be furious at Kawaki and he will want to kill Kawaki again, just like he did originally in chapters 78 and 79. That's enough about Mitski though, so now let's talk about Himawari, Shikadai, Chocho, and Inoji. Himawari is one of the select few people who never switch sides narratively because of omnipotence. Prior to chapter 79, Himawari loved both Boruto and Kawaki dearly. She grew up with the real brother Boruto, and she bonded with Kawaki when he saved her and Naruto from Delta's eye beam, and when Kawaki broke Himawari's face and painstakingly put it back together. And in the anime, Himawari and Kawaki have a lot of other bonding moments too, like the episode about Jaggi the outcast wolf, or the Kawaki and Himawari Academy arc, and so on. She's close to both of her brothers, and leading up to the events of chapter 79, Himawari literally knew absolutely nothing about what was happening. She didn't know that Kawaki had killed Boruto in chapter 66. She didn't see Kawaki's growing frustration about the Momoshiki problem since Kawaki wasn't at home with her. She didn't know that Kawaki visited her parents and sealed them away, and she didn't know that Kawaki was trying to kill Boruto again. She knew nothing. She had no reason to distrust or hate her brother Kawaki. So when the omnipotence role reversal happened, Himawari was affected and her memories of Boruto and Kawaki were swapped like everyone else, but she still knew nothing, so she has no reason to distrust or hate her brother Boruto. From Himawari's perspective, what the village says about Boruto is a contradiction to the Boruto she remembers. Someone who was willing to put himself in harm's way to save Naruto and Himawari, and was willing to bend over backwards trying to rebuild Himawari's broken base, probably wouldn't turn around and kill Naruto a few months later. Although Sasuke risked his life to save Naruto against Haku and was going to do the same against Gaara later on, yet he still tried to kill Naruto like a month later in the Sasuke retrieval arc. But Himawari doesn't know that, and so she thinks that there has to be an explanation for everything that's happened, and she's worried that Boruto is in deep trouble. She also believes that her parents are still alive somewhere, contrary to what Kawaki and Eida said. Now Himawari isn't defying omnipotence when she feels this way. Omnipotence doesn't command her to believe everything Kawaki and Eida say, nor does it command her to distrust Boruto. It simply commands her memories of Boruto and Kawaki up until chapter 79 when omnipotence was used to be swapped. And if Eida never used omnipotence in chapter 79, Himawari would have said the exact same thing about Kawaki. That's just Himawari's character. Himawari essentially serves as the bridge between Boruto and Kawaki. Just as Himawari was the catalyst that brought Kawaki closer to Boruto and ultimately the whole Leaf Village by breaking and fixing Himawari's face and then sacrificing his arm to save Naruto and Himawari, I think Himawari very well might be the catalyst that helps Boruto gain favor with the Leaf Village once again. She can be what Naruto was for Sasuke, the sister that never gave up on her brother. So how does Shikadai, Chocho, and Inoji fit into this? As we all know, these three were close friends of Boruto's and were also friends with Kawaki prior to chapter 77 when Kawaki sealed Naruto and Hinata away. And then they tried to stop Boruto in chapter 80 after omnipotence because they were really upset with Boruto because, as Shikadai puts it, they all considered Boruto as their friend. But trying to kill your bro in the Hokage who took you in as a lonely outsider just isn't what a friend does. They narratively went from being on Boruto's side to being actively against Boruto just like everyone else. However, Shikadai, Chocho, and Inoji are naturally fond of Himawari, as she is a super kind and funny girl who everyone loves, and she's also the daughter of Naruto and Hinata who everyone likes and looks up to, and she's also the younger sister of Kawaki who is a really good friend of theirs and they're all true memories. There's no reason not to like Himawari. Furthermore, it seems like Shikamaru, Chocho, and Inojin have been training with Himawari on a regular basis. As a result, they've likely only grown closer and more fond of Himawari than they already were before. With that in mind, hearing Himawari's feelings about Boruto is going to have an impact on them. They might not immediately jump to Boruto's aid, but as they watch Boruto while he's here in the village fighting Code, Himawari's words are gonna be echoing in the back of their minds. What if Himawari is actually right about Boruto? What if there really is more to the story? What if Naruto and Hinata really are still alive? And if Kawaki or Shikamaru give the order to eliminate Boruto, I'm willing to bet that one of them will falter. One of them will remember how Himawari thinks there's more to the story and that Naruto and Hinata are still alive and that Boruto is in deep trouble. Or they'll imagine Himawari's sad face upon realizing that Boruto is dead, and this will make them hesitate. And when one of them hesitates, the rest of the group will also hesitate and ask what's wrong, where they'll talk about Himawari's feelings together and collectively decide to test Himawari's theory and give Boruto a chance. Very much like how Sasuke trusted Sarada's feelings and decided to give Boruto a chance to prove Sarada right. I see something very similar happening here. Alternatively, if Kawaki or Mitski just go straight for the kill on Boruto, I can see Shikamaru or Inojin using Shadow Possession or Mind Transfer Jutsu to stop Kawaki or Mitski just in the nick of time for the exact same reasons I mentioned earlier, but they might not fully act on Boruto's side here and instead play it off as if they want to get some answers out of Boruto first or something like that. But regardless of how it all goes down, this will then give Boruto an opportunity to continue to prove himself by simply being Boruto Uzumaki. Now when it comes to Eida, she was very obviously on Kawaki's side prior to chapter 79, as she had a major crush on Kawaki and wanted to help him however she could. And this desire to help Kawaki most likely played a major role in her accidentally using Omnipotence after hearing Kawaki's feelings about the Momoshiki situation. But after this happened, Kawaki started being very aggressive with Eida and Damon, yanking Eida's shirt and demanding that she lie about Boruto killing Naruto, and then threatening to kill Damon for being annoying, and Eida specifically said that Kawaki was coming off as a coward and it made her totally sick, and so she felt guilty about what she had done to Boruto and decided to not help Kawaki in the Leaf Village find Boruto while he was training with Sasuke. In a sense, Eida narratively switched from being on Kawaki's side to being on Boruto's side, the opposite of Mitski in the Leaf Village. However, as we saw in this first chapter after the time skip, Eida and Damon are on to Sarada and Sumire. They have doubts about whether those two are actually under the effects of Eida's love charm, and are starting to wonder if they've actually been immune the whole time, just like how they were immune to the Omnipotence role reversal and were able to retain their memories. And if that is the case, it would mean that Sarada and Sumire have been lying to Eida and Damon for 3 whole years by pretending to be charmed by her. That's not what real friends do. Even if you believe that the reason Sarada and Sumire are immune is because Eida wants real friends, Eida won't be happy to discover the truth because real friends don't lie to each other and put up a faked act for 3 years straight. So as a result, a rift is starting to form between Eida and Sarada and Sumire, and it's only a matter of time before they are at odds with each other. Now as we know, Sarada and Sumire are diametrically opposed to Kawaki and his goals. They don't want Kawaki to kill Boruto. They know the truth about Omnipotence and what Kawaki has done, and Kawaki even tried to kill Sarada for getting in his way in chapter 78 before Boruto jumped in to save her, resulting in Boruto getting his scar. So if Eida becomes at odds with Sarada and Sumire, who are in opposition to Kawaki, Eida may then narratively transition back to Kawaki's side rather than Boruto's, shifting her from an ally back to an enemy once again. This isn't to say that Eida and Damon will go around slaughtering the villagers or try to kill Boruto all of a sudden, just that they will switch sides narratively. This also coincides nicely with the sun versus moon concept that is so prevalent in Naruto and Boruto, as Eida's Senrigan has a crescent moon design, while Sarada's Mangekyo Sharingan has a sun-like design. Now next up we have Sasuke, who already switched sides narratively back in chapter 80. He was obviously on Boruto's side originally, and even put a sword to Kawaki's neck in chapter 78, and was hunting Kawaki down in chapter 79, but then he switches to hunting down Boruto after Omnipotence because he thinks Boruto is targeting his student Kawaki. However, when Sarada awakened the Mangekyo Sharingan while pleading for Sasuke to help Boruto, Sasuke decided to trust his daughter no matter what, even if he doubts Boruto himself, which immediately brought him back to Boruto's side narratively. This incredible trust between parent and child is not unique to Sasuke. We see Minato demonstrate this exact same thing when he told Kushina to believe in their son Naruto to tame the Nine Tails and stop the masked man that we know to be Obito, as well as when he fully believed that Naruto would be able to find an answer to peace, because as Minato puts it, it is the duty of a parent to unconditionally believe in their child. And this finally brings us to Shikamaru, Konohamaru, and the rest of the Leaf Village, who I believe will be the last ones to switch sides narratively, outside of potentially Mitski. Now, especially when it comes to Shikamaru, I think this group needs both a logical appeal and an emotional appeal to make them switch sides, and the good news is they're gonna get both. As we saw in episode 76 and onward during the Mitski desertion arc of the Boruto anime, Shikamaru firmly trusts the intellect and decision making of his son Shikadai. When Moegi returns by herself when her team's mission was to bring Boruto and Sarada back, with the only thing Shikadai left behind being a shogi game piece, Shikamaru immediately understands that Shikadai must have figured something out, and that's why he decided to go with Boruto despite what his original mission was. He doesn't worry that Shikadai is being emotional and disobeying orders, he simply trusts his son's judgment and that this must have been the best decision. Like Sasuke and Minato, Shikamaru unconditionally believes in this child. Now with that in mind, if Shikadai does in fact take Himawari's feelings to heart and try to stop Kawaki from killing Boruto, or even just raises his doubts about Boruto truly being a bad guy to Shikamaru, Shikamaru will take notice of that. If there's anyone in the Leaf Village that will actually make Shikamaru stop and consider the possibility that Boruto isn't as bad as everyone thinks, that person is Shikadai, someone who Shikamaru believes in completely and knows would be thinking from a logical, rational standpoint, rather than purely acting upon emotion. He's also just Shikamaru's son, and as a loving father, Shikamaru would want to trust his son and do what he thinks is right, just as Sasuke has done for Sarada. Essentially, Shikadai will be the key to reaching Shikamaru, with Himawari being the initial catalyst that bridges that gap. And on the other side of this, if and when Kawaki becomes a threat to the Leaf Village, and ultimately the entire shinobi world for that matter in the future, it's going to pit Shikamaru against Kawaki as the Hokage, who must protect the village at all costs, the same way that Shikamaru intends to take out Eida using Sarada and Sumire if he determines her to be a threat to the village. That's just how Shikamaru operates as Hokage. It doesn't matter what kind of person you used to be. If you're a threat to the village now, he'll take measures to eliminate that threat, just like Hashirama did to Madara. Now I plan to make a whole video discussing how I think Kawaki will cause his own downfall, so I'm not going to explain everything here. But if Shikadai is able to reach Shikamaru and make him consider the possibility of Boruto not being a threat to the village, and then proceeds to stand in front of Boruto and stop Kawaki from attacking Boruto, and then Shikamaru orders Kawaki to stop fighting, but then Kawaki proceeds to ignore Shikamaru and attack Shikadai for getting in his way, this would probably be the absolute greatest way to make Shikamaru the Leaf Village turn on Kawaki again, as Kawaki would have ignored the Hokage's orders and attacked a comrade who happens to be the Hokage's son. Very similar to how we attacked Sarada back in chapter 78, and very similar to what everyone accuses Boruto of doing now. They're accusing Boruto of attacking the Hokage and his son. Well, in this case, Kawaki would be attacking the Hokage's son again. Kawaki's unwillingness to listen to others and his willingness to do anything and everything it takes to achieve his goals are the primary reasons why Shikamaru and Konohamaru were uneasy about Kawaki before, even more so than Kawaki being an outsider from Kara. So if Kawaki displays these characteristics once again, it will make the whole village uneasy about Kawaki again, and as a result, Shikamaru will have to take measures to deal with that problem. And I think the juxtaposition of Kawaki becoming a problem with Sarada, Sumire, Himawari, and possibly Team 10 all non-violently advocating to hear Boruto out will definitely lead to Shikamaru and the rest of the Leaf Village eventually switching from Kawaki's side back to Boruto's side. So as you can see, this chapter actually foreshadows quite a lot about the future of Boruto, Kawaki, and Eida. And this narrative downfall of the Omnipotence role reversal is actually a result of the underlying weakness to the way Eida has used Omnipotence so far, which I explained in detail in my video about how Omnipotence works and what its weaknesses are. And I'm really excited to do some solo videos about Kawaki's downfall, Eida's tragic future, the importance of Boruto and Mitski, the importance of Himawari, and a whole lot more. But I want to hear what you guys think. Do you agree with me that this chapter foreshadows quite a bit about the narrative downfall of the role reversal? And if so, do you agree with how each major player is probably going to transition back to their original side before chapter 79? let me know in the comment section below. But that's a wrap on today's video, so thank you guys for watching until the end.
You're already under my genjutsu.
Don't forget to subscribe, leave a comment, like the video, become a member, check out my podcast channel, check out my other group channel, and hit the bell icon for notifications. Have a great rest of your day, and I'll catch you guys next time. Bye.